I want to shift gears for a minute. We were talking through email before, this conversation tonight. And you said you had a remote viewing session, which you alluded to
Yeah.
at the beginning. I'm curious to hear about it. You said it was an interesting topic of discussion for tonight.
Yeah. So and it's kind of on brand here because we've been talking about sort of the very personal nature of remote viewing and how
Yeah.
it's is and the interconnections between people and such. So I did this session with I've actually tried this three times. So I got one of the guys,
Mm.
he is the publisher at a magazine called On the Bay Magazine. He's got some creative control over the thing. So I've been trying to, and it's like a seasonal magazine. So every so often I'll get the inclination to just try and remote view what cover he's going to pick. The first couple times I tried to do it, I didn't have very good sessions. But on this particular one, I got all the gestalts, I got all the high level data. I did not quite name the target, but I came close.
Right.
And then there was all this other really wild, like personal synchronistic stuff that came up, and a couple of weird, what I guess I would call a trick shot,
Right.
um, where I kind of redirected from the cover. I have some slides I can show,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the target was cool. So it was on the Bay Magazine. I was after the cover, spring issue 2024, very specific about it. I knew it was coming out in April, and I
Right.
got the feeling to do this back in March. So I did the session on the 27th of March, and I got the feedback on the 9th of April. Um, the first thing that came up was Flower Pot Island, which is this that was my first AOL. I got mountains and water, which isn't really that uncommon for this magazine, so I kind of set it
Right.
aside. And then I did this ideogram. I got that this element was important. And I didn't actually notice this in the session, but this is my gestalt for plant life. It eventually showed up in the data, but
Yeah.
and then I kind of moved to S2 and got some general information. Gray is interesting because the that comes back a few times, and the boat thing does too. But yeah, I kind of got onto this. I got this boat visual and kind of got stuck on that. And I was like, is this a vehicle? And then I got a mountain bike, and then this visual of like mountain bikers going through a forest. But I felt like I got really pulled into the forest. So I just kind of felt I was getting maybe a little off track. So I purged there. And then moved back to the cover. So I mean, I guess technically I'm a little front loaded in the sense that I knew I was going for the cover of this magazine,
Right.
but I don't know what it's going to be. So
But
it's,
that's
you know,
like saying I'm going for world events, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
there's so many
Categorical front
possibilities
loading.
there. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
So okay, so then I was like, move back to the cover so the image is clear. And I did another little ideogram, and there's my little plant thing again, and life, and this is usually mountains. And I tried labeling these, and the labels end up not meaning anything, so it doesn't really matter. I was like, I'm going to do structure, and then my subconscious was like, no, you're not.
Nope.
So anyway, so we moved to X, so it's perceivable and clear. Did another ideogram. I do lots of ideograms. I love ideograms; they're fun.
Yeah.
Um, and I did an S2, like nature, brown, kind of spring plants, gardening, plant life was now coming through pretty strong. Life among the hills feels like a location, perhaps in a valley. And then I got this Spy Cidery is this orchard that we have nearby, on Gray Road 2, I believe. And so I had an AOL of that and a strong visual of it. So I just wrote orchard, and I kind of drew this low-lying area at the bottom of a slope. And so what it ended up being was wild
Oh wow.
orchids,
Yeah.
which grow in a swamp, so at the bottom of a slope,
Uh-huh.
in the water. Later stage data, I had a lot of like furrowed soil with really moist soil and stuff. And anyway, so that was kind of cool. Um, and it was called the Calypso orchid, and it's in the Bruce Gray swamp. So I
Oh, there's
got
the gray. Yeah.
yeah, so there was the gray. Um, and there was this other little thing in the corner. So I didn't actually notice that until I went and like grabbed a physical copy of it. And as I'm
Yeah.
looking at the physical copy, I saw this little boat thing. I was
Yeah,
like,
the
"Oh,
anchor.
that's interesting." And it says advertisement, see page 14. So I was like, "Okay, I'll go to page 14." And so this was the ad, and I was like, "Holy
Oh
crap.
wow.
a lot of my
Yeah.
other data makes sense. So
Yeah. You
I
pulled
had
it
this
in.
guy who I called
Oh, there he
Gray
is.
Bruce was his name.
Yeah.
And he was a guy with short hair. I thought maybe it was gray, terrible writing. And I drew these kind of aviator shades, and he said
Yeah.
he felt like he's wearing something like a uniform or active wear. And he's actually wearing both because he's wearing a Blue Mountain uniform, which
Yeah.
is an active wear thing. So,
Yeah.
so I was really excited about that one. And I thought that was kind of a cool, that's what I called the trick shot, where I
Yeah.
got misdirected by this little advertisement into the middle of the magazine. So that was a cool one. There was also this I got this AOL in my band at this Heartwood Hall doing a show with a band called Roadwaves.
Right.
And there was actually an ad for our show in the magazine too, but I'm not counting that because I knew about it before.
You knew it was coming.
So yeah,
That's
so it
okay.
was
It's there.
kicking around in my subconscious.
Yeah.
So then the other side of the page on that ad, which was the actual ad it was pointing me to, was this boat and all these other sailboats and stuff.
Yeah.
So I had this and this propeller, this wind turbine AOL kept hitting me, and I think that's just
Hmm.
because it was trying to tell me it's a flower, you idiot, not a turbine. But
I say it looks
I
like the
didn't pick up
orchid.
on that. It does, yeah. And I didn't think orchid at the time because I guess boats are more interesting to me than flowers.
Yeah.
This boat in particular actually is a cool one, because bands play on it, and we've actually applied to
Oh,
play
wow.
on this boat. So there's a personal resonance with that one too. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I even got the color of the boat, the blue. I mean, the water's kind of
Oh,
black
that's
here and
great.
stuff.
Yeah.
And there is sailboats here too, so that was on there. Um, and then the cover story was about this guy who looks not unlike me, could be an uncle or a cousin or something.
Right.
Famous guy, John Moyer, I think, a naturalist who founded the Sierra Club and all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess he found these flowers when he was camping here in like the 1800s. So there's this really cool story about this guy and his local travels and stuff, and how he called this flower like this perfectly spiritual creature and whatever. And so it's also called the Calypso orchid.
Uh-huh.
And this is our foster cat Calypso, who
Huh.
just had kitties, yeah, like 3 days
Ah,
ago.
look at
So I found
that.
that was another really neat personal synchronicity that just blew my
Yeah.
mind. Right.
Yeah.
So and then so I took a break, and often when I take a break, I'll get a feeling to pull a tarot card or something when I come back. So I did that, and I got the Ace of Wands, which was interesting because my drummer had been wearing a shirt of a band called Ace of Wands like the previous
Huh.
night when we were jamming. So I thought that's kind of neat. And then
Yeah.
I looked up the meaning of it because I suck at tarot. I have to look at the book every time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's fun though, and I find it's almost always on point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like the meaning of that one was springtime, divine guidance, fresh starts, so it's like okay, that fits. Yeah, and then I got more of the wet dirt, feels like a farmer's field, like a
Yeah.
view from the ground up. So in my stage four, I had like tall stuff, but really it was this kind of perspective thing.
Right.
Yeah, and then at the end of the story about that John Moyer guy, there was another ad for the party boat.
Yeah. Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that was it. And then yeah, just some stage four stuff. There was some other drawings of the
Right.
flowers, like a grouping
Right.
of them elsewhere, and splayed hand. This was me trying to break down the windmill AOL, and I didn't
Right.
again still didn't quite nail it, but you can't win them all, right?
No, but
But yeah, it was a
that's
fun
pretty cool.
session. And that was
Yeah.
another one of those ones where I was just mind blown, like at the just the so many different personal little synchronicities and things that popped up.
Yeah.
And I was joking with Dave, like his higher dimensional self was like plugging jokes and stuff into this cover for my higher dimensional self to remote view, like the thing about the
It's highly
cats and all
possible,
that.
right?
Oh yeah, like
We just don't understand how it all works, and where
it's
you
so
I mean,
cool.
there's no time, right? Where you feeding his subconscious as you're getting the feed, like
Yeah,
which came
yeah.
first, right?
How's it going? Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
neat. Like it feels like you're almost kind of like peeking through the structure of reality
Yeah.
when you get feedback. Feedback is a buzz, man. Like do you notice
Uh-huh.
that too? Like
Yeah.
when as you're going through a feedback on a session that it's just like
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, it's
everybody
pretty
must get that.